Running.
What's up guys, today I'm taking a look at the gel ball version of the SLR Iron Lite CQB from the company Ditech. Ditech are fully licensed by SLR Rifle Works in the USA, who make the real steel versions of these, to produce this high quality replica of their firearms. This gel ball version is imported into Australia by the retailer Tactical Edge Hobbies, who I have a 10% discount code you can use, which is just my name, Brad. Tactical Edge Hobbies also distribute this to smaller retailers such as Safari Zoomer Tactical here in Adelaide, if you'd rather go to someone local. Now, there are 3 different versions of the SLR Ion that you can buy. This one here is the shortest at 4.25 inches. There's also a 6.7 and a 9.7 version. There's also multiple colors that you can get this in. This color here is obviously dark earth, but there's also black, there's a 2-tone half black, half gray, and I think the longest version comes in a camo version as well. In this video today, I'll give you an overview of the blaster, I'll chrono the blaster including rate of fire, I'll check the accuracy of the blaster, and then I'll end off with some gameplay footage. But before I get started on that, I just want to firstly say that due to the high quality of this replica, I think it would be a perfect outer shell to customize and upgrade yourself. But let's get started with the overview of its stock. The blaster comes in a cardboard lidded box which sleeves over some polystyrene. Aside from a sticker at the end, they've gone kinda cheap on the packaging. Inside the box you simply get the blaster itself and a magazine. There's no battery included, and with this particular short CQB version, there's not a lot of space for a battery inside of here. I didn't actually have anything that would fit, so I externally mounted a Titan battery in mine. Now, because a Titan battery usually lasts a couple of skirmishes, it probably is my preference to mount one of those externally. But if you do want to go with something that actually fits inside of the tiny little CQB buffer tube, go with a 1200 mAh 11 volt battery and it should fit. Starting at the front of the blaster and working our way back, it has a very nice weighty metal flash hider. The inner bore of the flash hider is a very tight 9mm though, so anyone wanting to use a hop up on the end of their barrel to improve the accuracy won't be able to use the flash hider. I realized that Ditech are an airsoft company and they originally designed this blaster for airsoft, which put the hop up inside of the receiver, but it would have been nice if they did a bit of research and made that flash hider a hop up itself. Because what most people are going to do is unscrew that flash hider and they'll never get to actually use it. The flash hider does screw onto a 14mm counterclockwise thread though, so you could use any hop up that screws onto an outer barrel of 14mm counterclockwise thread. What you can't do though is put any kind of inner barrel hop up onto the end of the barrel, because for some reason the entire length of the barrel is 9.5 except for the tip, which they've stepped down to 8.6mm. I assume that's so it fits inside this flash hider, which none of us are going to actually use anyway. The inner barrel is an alloy barrel and it has an inner diameter of 7.3mm and a total length of 147mm. So personally, I wouldn't even bother changing it out unless you want to go with a fully 9.5 external barrel, so you can fit a riser hop up and then a suppressor to conceal that. Something I will definitely give them credit for though, is the outer barrel has absolutely no wobble to it. The inner barrel has basically none either. I've never really seen a stock blaster with such little barrel wobble. Moving back from the muzzle now, you've got your M-LOK handguard, which varies in length depending on which model of the blaster you've got. The longer ones obviously have a longer handguard. At the bottom of the handguard, it comes with a Picatinny M-LOK rail segment already installed, as well as a hand stop at the front of the handguard. The handguard also seems to lock into the receiver, so it physically cannot rotate side to side. Moving along to the receiver itself, it has very fine details replicating the real SLR B15 receiver produced by SLR Rifle Works. All the engraved text is accurate. It even has an anti-rotation pin. The only place I'd fault it from a replica standpoint is it's lacking the ambidextrous bolt release seen on the real thing. And the bolt release that it does have is purely cosmetic. You can't push it in to release the bolt or anything cool like that. When you pull on the charging handle, it does open the dust cover. But it also primes your mags for you, which is really nice when you're trying to be sneaky and quiet. The selector switch is ambidextrous, but I found out of the box it's really stiff and hard to move. It almost felt like I was going to break it, moving it from safe into semi and then into full auto. The trigger has a flat face to it, and I measured 6mm of pull before it fires the blaster, which is actually quite a long trigger pull, but you could always modify the blaster to shorten that. When it does reach that 6mm though, the blaster is quite snappy to fire. It doesn't have a MOSFET as far as I'm aware, so spamming it on semi is not going to give you that high performance that Speed QB players are after. But you speed softers are going to modify the heck out of this thing anyway to get that responsiveness that you need. Now, Ditach got this blaster made in the SEMA factory over in China. So it comes with a SEMA metal magazine, although it does work with most gel ball M4 magazines. The one that I use for all of the gameplay footage is the old Jingji SLR mag that I prefer, because I do have heaps of them already, and it has that cutout window in the side to see how many shots you have left. Something I will point out is the SEMA mags are a bit looser in the magwell, so they do drop free when you hit that mag release. The other magazines and the ones that I used myself, you do actually have to pull them out of the magwell. At the back of the blaster, you've got your buttstock, which varies depending on which model of the blaster you get. On the CQB version here, you've got the PDW style stock with 4 different locking positions, as well as fully removing it. On the longer versions of this blaster, you've got a standard buffer tube and M4 stock. On either side of the blaster, you've got a quick detach sling point, and on this CQB version, you've also got a third quick detach sling point on the bottom of the PDW stock. Now, something different about this PDW stock compared to other blasters I've seen before is the buffer tube actually holds the entire PDW stock on. So you cannot physically run this without the buffer tube on if you want to have the stock on. So what I had to do to externally mount the battery is actually drill a hole in the back of the buffer tube to run the wires through. With the 6.7 inch and the 9.7 inch versions of this blaster, you obviously have a full length buffer tube. There's a lot more battery options that you could fit inside of that. Something else I'll give them credit for is the PDW stock has almost no wobble to it at all. Some of the other cheaper blasters I've had have quite a bit more wobble to them on the PDW stocks. Now, before I get to the testing part of the video, I'll show you one more cool feature about the blaster. At the front here, it has a retained takedown pin that doesn't require any Allen key to loosen it. Just push it and pull on the charging handle to separate the upper and lower. This will allow you to quickly perform field maintenance or even change out uppers to longer barrels. Inside the blaster, it has a fully metal V2 cast gearbox from SEMA. Although I'm sure most of you will give this a complete overhaul, especially you speed softers. The stock SEMA box is at least radiused in the factory though, so it should have some decent durability to it if you're just going to keep the blaster stock. But that pretty much wraps up the overview of the blaster, so now let's head outside to the Battle for Waterloo skirmish field and see how the blaster performs. First I'm going to test the velocity with Ozgel Ultra Elite gel balls. Keeping in mind this is the short barrel version of this blaster, the longer versions will obviously have higher velocities. I got a high of 317, a low of 298, and an average of 309. For such a short barrel length, this is quite an impressive velocity reading. The longer versions would definitely shoot even higher though. And now let's put it on full auto and check the rate of fire. 1,119 rounds per minute divided 60 gives us 18.65 rounds per second. For a stock gel blaster, 18.65 rounds per second is actually above average. And now I'm going to head back 30 meters away from a 1 meter diameter target and fire some short bursts to see how the accuracy goes. I've fitted a Hellfire hop up to the 40mm counterclockwise thread, so let's see how it does. Same. Yeah. Now aim a bit higher. aim a bit higher. Now aim a bit higher. Not terrible. So what are my final thoughts on the SLR CQB from Ditac? Well, it's a fully licensed replica from SLR Rifleworks, so it's going to be a really high detailed replica to use as a base blaster for custom builds. Even if you just keep this stock though, an average velocity of 309 feet per second and a rate of fire of 18.5 is quite impressive for a stock blaster, particularly the velocity having such a short barrel. The accuracy was pretty much on par with any other stock gel blaster out there, so I can't complain about that. Getting into a negative of the blaster now though, having the inner barrel step down from a normal 9.5mm to 8.6 just to have it fit inside the flash hider that no one's going to actually use anyway is a bit of an oversight by Ditac, and I have to put it down to not researching gel ball before jumping into the market. As it stands, this really nice flash hider is completely useless because you can't fit a hop-up with it on there. If it had a hop-up built in, it would be really awesome, but it doesn't. I'll leave you now with some gameplay footage recorded at the Battle for Waterloo skirmish field. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos, and I'll see you on the next one.
Got the right thing, you got the I can't just big open fields, I love big man.
Running.
Great.
Did someone kill them all? Red or blue?
Okay.
Oh, I'm red.
Ah, okay. Your head peaks over, I reckon you're alright.
You got my leg. Hit.
Look else you got up front. We just got a free kill with the trenches area. Ready?
3, 2, 1,
Fire!
fire!
Go.
That's a bit far, isn't it?
Where'd it go? Fuck did it go? It's like spawn, man.
That's it, spawn!
Well, whoever was respawning is now dead. Did mine hit you at all? Oh, it did.
That thing's scary.
Blaster hit. Oh, good one. Good work.